Alright, so we're live?
Yeah, we're live.
What is up, everybody? My name is Nefarious, and we are here with another PML fantasy show. I'm with my partners in crime, my new partner in crime in Gooseneck Gamer, and then also my partner in crime from day one, Fallen. We will be handling all the fantasy stuff, updating lineups, updating scores, all that good stuff. And Goose will now be joining us on the live show every week, as long as he's available during that week. But thank you for hopping on, Goose. I appreciate it. I appreciate you hosting this week as well on your channel. Right into some hiccups on my own. But yeah, say what's up to people.
Man, what's up, man? Thanks for having me. I'm excited, man. I hate I missed the original sign up to get on, but I saw a slot open and I had to take it, man. I'm very happy to be here, man. This is awesome. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. We just want people that are, on top of the ball and actually paying attention to the fantasy stuff, because we do put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that's why we're happy to have you. And Fallen, say what's up to you.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Glad to have Goose here with us. He's going to help us with fantasy. Give you guys an extra opinion to hear on about the fit-em. So hopefully everybody's paying attention and we don't get anybody starting any players who are on bye weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely don't want that, especially this week. So first, we're going to talk about some waiver wire pickups. We had a lot of waiver wire pickups this week with new users in Papa Greeny, who's the Colts user in PML. I'd like to welcome him as well. He's definitely somebody that's on top of the ball so far. He's taken over for Geeked, who actually left PML out of the blue and left his fantasy spot as well. So he's taken over for Geeked, and then we got Goose, who's taken over for LQ Noble moving forward. Just the thing with LQ, nothing against LQ, he just was on top of the ball, and he had a lot of holes in his lineup, as you saw firsthand, Goose, and he never really addressed it at all. So that was the issue there. So we're going to talk about some waiver wire pickups. Right off the bat, we got Goose actually having a bunch of waiver wire pickups. We're going to go through all your waiver wire pickups. So you dropped the 49ers defense, picked up the Ravens defense. Then you dropped DeAndre Swift, and then you picked up Melvin Gordon for the Broncos. You also dropped Tony Pollard for Le'Veon Bell. You dropped Mike Gesicki for Austin Hooper. You dropped Jalen Reagor for CeeDee Lamb. I mean, all in all, some good pickups. I really like the CeeDee Lamb pickup and also the Le'Veon Bell pickup. I don't like that you dropped the 49ers defense because we're up and coming. I don't like that. But yeah, solid pickups as well, especially with a lineup that you've inherited. It's not a great lineup, so I think this is going to pay some dividends straight off the bat for you.
That's what I'm hoping, man. I was looking to see everything going on and kind of looking at, who was where and who's playing who, and looking at some stats, that top 10 that you put together, man, that was extremely helpful. So I kind of just wanted to address holes first and then just kind of go from there, man, because we've seen some upsets in PML, so I think it's going to be even more players get added to that top 10 free agency in our fantasy.
I know that top 10 free agency is going to help a lot of people. I mean, we had a lot more claims this week, and I just put it into the system, and that's why it's nice to have you on the commissioner crew when it comes to PML fantasy, because it's a lot of work. I'm going to focus on that top 10 fantasy free agent stuff, and I'm going to let you guys handle the scores within the week, so we can kind of give that to our users so they could have something to go off of moving forward. But let's talk about some of the other waiver wire pickups. The Broncos made a waiver wire pickup. They dropped Kenneth Gainwell and they picked up Ty Chandler, who's actually my running back. So I think that's a good move there. They dropped a secondary option for a number one option in San Fran. So that's a good move from the Broncos. Then we got the Colts, the new user, Papa Greeny. He picked up he dropped Jakeem Grant, and he picked up Jarvis Landry, and then he also dropped the Bears defense, and he picked up the Cowboys defense. So a couple good moves from him. Then we got Mally Rojo, the Seahawks user. He dropped Jared Cook to pick up Paris Campbell, who I think on the top 10 list, he's actually number 1. Actually, he was number 2. I can see on the screen there.
Yeah.
So he, the number 1 wide receiver on the free agency list went to Papa Greeny, but he got a pretty good choice with Paris Campbell there. The last waiver, last but not least, you got myself. I dropped the Colts defense, and I picked up Khalif Raymond. So Khalif Raymond is the burner from Tennessee, and if you know Tennessee and the user over there, he likes to air it out. So I thought that was that's going to be a good pickup for me going forward.
That was one of the ones I didn't really have time to digest in the roster, but I was like, I know with adding Aaron Rodgers, I think the usage for Raymond is about to go. By halfway through the season, that'll probably be your best pickup, probably.
Oh, yeah. I think so as well.
I in the past 3 weeks, I've played Raymond twice, and he's had a total. Actually, he had all of his touchdowns. 4 touchdowns in week 3, and 1 touchdown this week in week 5. So he's definitely going to get targeted, especially moving forward. So I think that was a great pickup.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he pays out. My wide receiver situation is pretty solid, but I think one more extra to play matchups with is going to be good for me during the regular season. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the waiver wire pickups. Let's jump into the games. So we have Nacho versus Papa Greeny. He kind of just joined later on today, so he really didn't put in this lineup, but it looks like he's going to come out with a win this week. If you take a look, I think he's up by almost 100 points. He has 176.14 points.
Oh,
so
man.
He's pretty much going to blow out Natural this week.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. I got the scores up. The score on the screen. Where's Gardner Minshew? Wow. Let's see.
Yeah, he filled in. I think he lost his quarterback, or something happened with his quarterback. Oh, he had. So what happened is, before Papa Greeny joined, we had T-Bandit, and T-Bandit was the Redskins user, and the starting quarterback was Dwayne Haskins Jr., so he had to replace Dwayne Haskins with a quarterback that wasn't on his team. So not knowing that he would drop out before advance or before we moved on in fantasy, Papa Greeny took over, and that's why Gardner Minshew was there. We could put Dwayne Haskins in there for him, but pretty much he won this week. He won this week. I'm not even worried about his lineup. He's won this week even with Gardner Minshew in.
I think that the big ticket here, I mean, with the point spread is not there, but the Mecole Hardman putting up 45, I don't know that anyone saw that coming, but that...
No, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, that's... Nick Chubb, we expect Chubb to have a good game. Alvin Kamara with the new head coach over there. That's great, but yeah, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was a big week, especially from Alvin Kamara and Mecole Hardman. Nobody saw that from Mecole, like you mentioned. We honestly didn't. I told him to pick Gardner Minshew because I thought Gardner Minshew was going to have a good game. I didn't see the Chiefs winning that game, but he surprised all of PML by coming out with a win and also using his speedy wide receivers to get it done. Let's jump on to the next one. We got Fallen versus FKNJP. This one's a close one. It's going to come down to the wire. We had a situation with the Chargers and the Giants who recreated their game. So as you can see, Fallen had to replace his quarterback and his running back, and you didn't have to replace the wide receiver. He just didn't get much for. No, he got 1 reception, 55. Oh, you had to replace the tight end.
Replace the tight end. Yep.
Yeah, that's who I'm looking at. All right, so you had to replace 3 two really good players and then one decent player with players from the game that hasn't been played yet. So that's going to be tough for you to come out with the win after doing that. But he's got Russell Wilson, who's also going to be in this simulation game. And as we all know, it's going to be a force win for the Seahawks. So Russell Wilson is probably going to have some decent stats. So hopefully you're able to come out with the win, but it's going to be a very close one. It's going to come down to the wire, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna come down to the wire. It's gonna just depend on how the sim goes. They're all starters in there, so my hope is that I got 3 starters versus 1 starter, so at least get some positive points. I think I'm down 6 points.
Yeah, 5.
So 5 points. So maybe that takes away Will Dissly's production, but I'm hoping Jared Goff and Devontae Freeman can beat out Russell Wilson. So we'll see. I was a bit disappointed in John Ross. I thought he would have more production than just 1 catch.
Kind of his first week back, you expect him possibly overuse.
I did. So, and I actually didn't, and I subbed him out for Stephon Diggs, who actually had like 200 yards this week.
Shout out, Scoobeezy. Thanks for joining us in the chat.
I think that was a computer game, but still.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect much from Stephon Diggs. Another guy that actually got a lot of points is on the other side, Jamar Chase from the Bills.
Yeah, they both did.
They both had big games in the game natural versus the CPU. So I don't know exactly how that happened. I wouldn't expect that from the Bills CPU, but he definitely showed up and showed out and got those wide receivers some points.
Yep.
When you look at his lineup, you had Chris Godwin, who had a really good game, and then Jamar Chase is the other big part of that. So we'll see exactly what happens. Russell Wilson's going to have to double the score, or pretty much triple the score of 2 guys. Actually, just double the score, and he's going to 3 guys, and then he's going to be all set. It's going to be close, that's for sure. Any thoughts on this, Goose?
I'm keep looking, trying to break it down. I'm trying to figure out, assuming this game gets simmed, if Devontae Freeman's going to give Fallen any production.
He's number 1 on the depth. I think he's number 1 on the depth chart.
Yeah,
he is.
I think when the offensive game plan, when a game is simmed, I think it goes by what the scheme is. I think, don't quote me. So I don't know what his scheme is off the top of my head. So but basically, does he give you like a touchdown or what you need, 80 yards rushing? You know what I'm saying? Just something to kind of push you over the edge. So versus Russell Wilson's production, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Just guesstimating off the top of my head. But
honestly, we don't know, because Russell Wilson, the sim game could be all about Rashad Penny out of nowhere. So you just don't know what you're gonna get out of a sim game. So we'll see exactly what happens, but it's definitely gonna be a close one.
I think if for some odd reason this game got played, we hope everything goes well. But if he pops up out of nowhere and say, "Hey, let's play," and they play. Russell Wilson, he's running that option a lot. That could be points, so that could hurt you. But because his games get simmed, honestly, I think Fallen takes the win when this game gets simmed. Me personally.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Russell Wilson to outscore both of those because you gotta feel that Rashad Penny is going to get the ball.
Yep.
And, Russell Wilson might have 2, maybe 3 touchdowns, and usually sim games are low scoring. They're never really barn burners when it comes to the score. It's usually like a 27-21 or something like that. It's never anything above 50 points or 40 points on one side. So it's definitely going to be it's going to be a close one, but I think Fallen's going to come out with this one.
Same.
Let's move on to the next one. We got Drama versus Goose, and Goose, you didn't set up this lineup, so you're just taking the brunt of it on this week. Mike Gesicki was on a bye. That's kind of what was the last straw for LQ. Last week he had two players that were on byes in his lineup. This week he had one, even though he had a tight end on his lineup that he could have played in place of Mike Gesicki. So kind of told me he wasn't really paying attention, so I said, you know what, I think it's just better for us and better for the fantasy, the fantasy league to just let you go and move on with a different user that's going to pay more attention. And we'll see what happens next week. I don't got much to say about this game because you weren't really handed any good cards to deal with.
Yeah.
Play your cards right. Shout out.
Well played. Thank you.
Yeah, you weren't handed any cards to deal with this week, and Drama's going to come out with this one easy, like it's pretty much a free win, a bye week.
Yeah.
So we won't talk much about that. We'll jump on to the next game. We got myself, Nefarious versus Q. And as you could see, I had to make a change on my running back too. I had Saquon Barkley, but since that Chargers and Giants game didn't get played correctly, and now it's a recreation game, I had to make a replacement. So I moved Bryce Love from the flex position up to the running back position, and I picked up Rashad Perriman and put him in the flex position. He's not on my roster, but he was an emergency pickup because I needed a replacement for Saquon Barkley. So we'll see what Rashad Perriman does. He is number one on the depth chart for the Rams. He's not their best wide receiver. That would be Robert Woods, and that might be one of the reasons why the Rams aren't doing so hot in the season, is because they're just looking for the speed instead of looking for the overall ability.
Yeah.
And, that's why I went with Rashad Perriman. But if Robert Woods was playing, I definitely would have had him as my flex option here. I would have took Tyler Lockett as well, but Natural needed a replacement wide receiver from that Chargers game as well, so I just let him get the first choice, and I just took whatever was left, and that was Rashad Perriman. I don't think I'm going to win this week. I think I'm going to get my first loss of fantasy. Even though Q didn't play a wide receiver in his wide receiver 2 slot that was playing this week, he still had a bunch of guys go off this week, and he had over 170 points.
No, I'm not mad at that. He's got some. I mean, like Hawkins, that's a not just playing him, but I think some rookie guys sometimes are good to gamble on. So I think Hawkins was a good one. Chuba Hubbard was a good one to gamble on. Deshaun Watson might be top 3 best mobile quarterback in the game. So I would always gamble on him. Will Lutz for the Saints. I think I can't be mad at this roster. He has Bateman might pick up, once again, another rookie there, but who knows? I will come back to that.
Yeah, he was on a bye. That's who was on a bye this week, so that's why he got 0 points.
So he could have cracked 200 possibly if he was really on it.
Yeah, if he had somebody else that was, he said he tried to play Cooper Kupp, but Fallen didn't enter the lineups until midnight, and he entered it verbatim of what he had. So, it is what it is. Next week, he took a screenshot and everything, sent it to me just to make sure. But, it is what it is for this week. I think he's going to get the win either way. And a big reason for that is Eric Ebron, who finally had a good week. He hasn't had a good week so far this season, but this week he had over 25 points. He had 29.7, just under 30 points, which was huge out of the tight end position. The tight end position doesn't really get that much love.
Yeah, 10 receptions there. I like it. I see it for 137.
Yeah, in a game where he was struggling apparently and took a L, he gave Eric Ebron some love. So I don't know if that was because he got down early and he had to air it out, and Eric Ebron was a focal point of that. But good week from him. I had a good week from Terry McLaurin and a few other guys, but just not enough. Rondale Moore Rondale Moore didn't have enough points, or Alan Lazard. And then Bryce Love had a decent week. So I had a few guys that were subpar compared to his lineup where everybody just went off for him. Let's jump on to Byrne and Malley. We got Byrne, who is 2-2 on the season, and then we got Malley, who's also 2-2, I believe. This one looks like Malley's going to pull away with it. He kind of got screwed in the end because Daniel Jones was his quarterback. And the only game left is his game against the Rams. And as you know, he can't have a quarterback that he's going up against.
Yeah.
So Mally Rojo has to, take the 0, but I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. I don't see Seattle's defense or Jason Myers getting crazy points to come back. I mean, they're down by what is that? They're down by 70 points. I don't see him getting 70 points from these three plays: Rashad Penny, Jason Myers, and the Seattle defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty much too much to overcome. I think Malley had a solid week by his top 4 guys here, and then even the Vikings defense got him 25 points. So kind of too much for Byrne to kind of hope for. Byrne was kind of let down by Jonathan Taylor. He only had 9 points, so that was his first round pick.
Yeah, he got shut down this week.
Yeah, it goes back to that coaching and scouting and really looking at matchups and trying to figure out who's going to be your best guy, right?
Yeah, and even Naheem Hines, I'm surprised of the week he had over in Arizona. You had a tough matchup this week. I think you had the Lions, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the Lions, and he still got his. I mean, 6 receptions, 62 yards. He almost had 20 points on a week where he had a tough matchup. So, good for Hines, and good for your offense getting him the ball and getting him out in space, and getting a lot of points for Byrne week to week. Even though bad matchup, good matchup, he's getting his points.
Doing our best. I felt like that was going to be a sleeper pick when I was watching the draft. I'm like, okay, man, we'll see what goes on there.
Yeah, for sure. So far, it's looking really good for Byrne. Speaking of, a bad matchup, good matchup. Let's jump into this week's stardom sit-em.
Right.
So basically, what we're gonna do is we're each gonna give one position. We're each going to talk about each position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense. We're going to give one stardom and one sit-em real quick, and then we're going to give a few points on it. And then, that's pretty much what we're going to do for the stardom sit-em. Who do you guys have for quarterback if you want to start falling?
You want to pull up the schedule on Madden?
Yeah. Pull up the schedule so people could see, so we could talk about the matchups and stuff like that.
It's up. Let's go.
Yeah, so for my stardoms, I have Trey Lance. He has a really good matchup this week against the Falcons. I think the Falcons are one of the worst defenses in the league so far. And Lance has a pretty good ratio, a touchdown to interception ratio. He's top 5 QB in the league right now. I think, as we've seen, the Saints coach definitely wants to air the ball out. Whether it's to his receivers or even to Alvin Kamara. So I think that matchup plays in his favor.
I can see that.
I like that. I'm actually I made my lineup earlier today, and I looked at that, and Trey Lance is definitely going to be the guy moving forward just based on his production, but he's also got a really good matchup like you're mentioning right now. So I think I'm going to get a lot of points from him this week. Who do you have for your sit-em?
Shout out Lynn Flo in the chat. What's good, bro?
I have Baker Mayfield for my sit-em. I know the Browns just had their first win. He had a pretty decent week against the Packers, and I know in week 4 he had some good production, but despite the Bears' huge loss to the Ravens, I think the Bears' defense is going to turn it up, and they're going to force turnovers. And I think Mayfield's going to have he won't have a negative score, but I think it'll be pretty low compared to the last couple weeks.
How do you feel about that, Goose?
It's gonna be. I don't completely. It's not that I expect. I expect Mayfield to have Baker to have more going for him than he have going against him, if that makes any sense. Because I know the Bears are trying to rebuild their secondary, so it depends on how many chances HD decides to take when throwing the ball. But you know he's got his tight end involved, right? So it depending on if he plays it right, he's gonna force the Bears to either try to play underneath or over the top. If they play underneath, then he's going over the top to Landry. Wish I could have got him. Really, that was somebody I really wanted on my waiver wire. But if they decide to play over the top, take away the deep ball, try to take back Odell out the game and Landry out the game, well, he's going to feed Hooper, and that's going to help me. But I expect the Bears to have to pick and choose, and most people are going to choose to play over the top any day of the week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. But Baker's tied for first place. First for the most interceptions so far this year, and I think that's going to continue. So I think ultimately I think he'll get his yards, but I think those turnovers are going to impact his production. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say he's going to come out of this one with single digits.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think the interceptions are going to play a key part. Who do you got for a stardom and a situm this week, Goose?
For my stardom situm, I went to the Panthers versus the Bucks. I think Justin Fields is going to have a great game, mainly because when I looked at passing yards given up, the Buccaneers are number 4, giving up 300. I mean, they're they not number 4. They're the 4th worst team when it comes to giving up passing yards at 313. So I expect that allow the Panthers to be able to move the ball a bit. Even if it's just getting he's got options, especially like being able to get it to McCaffrey in the flats. That's, or, just little, just simple swing route stuff like that. That's always going to be something that's going to be an issue. And they're already struggling against the pass. I expect Justin Fields to have a career day. So I would start him. Got to start him, I feel like.
I like that. I like that pick, and it's kind of a low-key pick, kind of a surprise pick, because you look at the Panthers, they're not the best user, you would say, and the Buccaneers had a really good season last season, but they are struggling a little bit this season, so I like that pick. That seems like a low-key pick for a stardom. Did you mention your situm?
Not yet. If I had to sit anybody, my thought here, when I was looking, I would say I didn't check rosters to see if anybody picked him up, but I know we talked about Khalif Raymond. He was he was one of the top 10 whatchamacallits, right? Free agents.
Yeah, wide receivers to pick up. Yeah.
I think he's top 10. Great speed, but going up against the Patriots secondary, the best secondary in the game that got better during the offseason, with coordinators and all the stuff we do. I just don't think now is the time to try to start a wide receiver. Like, I would pick him up as a free agent, definitely, but I wouldn't start him. I'd sit him. If somebody picked him up and started him, I would pick him up, add him to your roster, but I would not start him this game. Going against the best secondary in the league right now, I just don't think it's wise to gamble on the passing attack as far as, for fantasy points,
Okay, so he would be your sit-in for a wide receiver. Who would be a sit-in for a quarterback? Aaron Rodgers would be in that category?
Yeah, I would. I just, same thing. I think, will Rodgers have a good game? Yes. Will it be enough to win as far as like fantasy? Yeah. Like, hey, I need double digits from Rodgers to possibly, or even if it gets you 12, but you needed 19, like, obviously I throw out a random number, but I wouldn't gamble on the points from Rodgers. Not this game.
I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second.
Go ahead.
I had a little technical difficulties. But I'm gonna jump into my stardom and situm for quarterbacks, and I am going to go with for a quarterback for stardom. I am going to go with I had him here. Derek Carr against the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the Cinderella story this past week of the Chiefs playing well.
You think it's a one-time deal?
I think it was a one-time deal. So I am going to go with Derek Carr against the Chiefs for my stardom. I still think the Chiefs are who the Chiefs are, so I don't believe in that defense or, the overall gameplay that they had this past week. I got to see it more consistent before I start believing it. And then for my sit-em, I'm going to go same game. I'm going to sit Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to stick with the same game. Patrick Mahomes had a good week last week. Like I just mentioned, I just think it was a Cinderella story last week, and I don't see it happening again. But I could be wrong. But that's going to be my stardom and sit him for quarterback.
Looking at that part on the quarterback part, interesting. The Raiders' pass defense right now, according to my Madden, they're top 10. They're only giving up 212.8 yards a game passing, so that you could be spot on.
And I think that has a lot to do with how prone he's been to turnovers in the first 5 weeks with the opponents he's been going up against. He's had a tough schedule throughout, but I think this is more of a favorable matchup for him, so I like this matchup.
So you expect now the Raiders to turn it around? I got you.
Yeah, I expect, especially this week.
Yeah, I like that Derek Carr pick. The Chiefs are giving up 42 points a game, which is second to last in the league. So I think Carr is going to feast this game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case here. We'll see. Chiefs could be the real thing moving forward. Who knows? I mean, that was an impressive win they had, but who knows exactly what to expect from him going forward after what we've seen so early in the season. Let's jump on to the running backs. If you have a starter and sitter for running backs, Fong, go ahead.
Yeah, so for my stardom, I like Tariq Cohen from the Bears. I think Cohen, as we saw in the last game, Cohen's getting all the work, whether it's in the passing game or the running game. He's really the only running back that's getting touches. And I think he's going up against a good matchup in the Browns, who are one of the worst defenses in the league. So I think Cohen's going to be a 3-down back in this one, and especially if it's high scoring. I think he's going to have more catches than what we normally see. And then for running backs, it's a little interesting pick, but I'm going with sitting Ezekiel Elliott. And I know he has a favorable matchup against the Broncos in general, but the Broncos, according to Daddy Leagues, has the 4th best defense against the run. So I think it's mainly because maybe teams are passing on him more so often, but I think that doesn't benefit Ezekiel Elliott this week. Yeah, he's only giving up 92 yards a game, so I think, actually he's giving up 321 passing yards a game. Yep. So I think if you're CEO in this one, you're probably going to look to pass it and maybe run a little later on in the game, but at that point I think the game's going to be out of hand, so he'll be looking to Tony Pollard or his third backup.
Yeah, I like that. That's a
great
kind
assessment.
Of a off the board kind of pick right there when it comes to the sit-em. You expect Zeke Elliott to to thrive. He just had a really good week against me, but my run defense isn't as good as the Broncos. But that has a lot to do with the Broncos' pass defense also, like you mentioned. It's a hit or miss kind of call, and I kind of like that analysis that you gave there. We're going to jump on to wide receivers. Goose, you talked about the sit-em wide receiver that you have for this week. Do you have a stardom wide receiver?
Kind of, sort of, not exactly. Just mainly because I was trying to find the guy. But I think the Ravens, I don't know who he's going to target. But he's playing the Steelers. The Steelers are giving up 300 plus passing yards a game, and he's even made a point himself to say in chat that he doesn't, he feels like his pass defense is The only issue with that, though, and that's why I said I have mixed feelings, is with the rejuvenated Ravens defense. They were already good, and they just added a major piece. If they score 1 or 2 defensive touchdowns, they could end up where they, end up maybe 2 passing touchdowns, and at that point just run the ball if they get a dominating win. I mean, the Ravens have been playing Bacon's been playing some amazing ball, so it's possible the game gets out of hand early and he just runs it, to stay sim. So that's why I have mixed feelings on if somebody like a Marquise Brown is going to be your go-to guy, because, it could be possible that, the game gets out of hand, so now he's not throwing the ball as much. So that's it's an iffy one there. But if the game stays close, if drama comes to compete, regardless of, how the Ravens have been playing, then I do expect the Ravens to approach the game in the air versus on the run, because they have the Steelers do have a top run defense. So therefore, the idea would be to attack in the air. But if he gets a couple of defensive touchdowns, which we know is very well possible for the Ravens, then he might be in a position where he has to kind of cruise control, to stay sim. So that's why I'm on the fence.
Exactly. Yeah, and I would like Marquise Brown, like you mentioned, just for the fact that last week against the Chiefs, he got torched by McCole Hardman and Tyreek Hill over the top.
Yeah,
he said something in chat about getting beat on streaks on multiple occasions. Yeah. So I don't think I looked at his cornerbacks before. We were in trade talk, so I pretty much seen his whole lineup, and his cornerbacks are pretty slow. I think 89, 90 speed is the max that he has, and Marquise Brown with that 97 speed could really be dangerous if he's not watched for correctly, kind of like last week when he didn't really watch for Tyreek Hill or Mecole Hardman. But let's jump on to the tight ends real quick. Fallen, do you have a starter sitter for tight ends?
I do, and I just wanted to put this out there for that Derek Carr pick. Henry Ruggs is back this week, so I think Ruggs can have a good week. Yeah. So, but we've already kind of touched on it. HG is using his tight end, Austin Hooper, a lot more, especially the past couple weeks. With that defense of the Steelers, I think he's going to go to Hooper often and early. So I see Hooper having 6 to 7 catches and a touchdown and possibly over a 100-yard game here.
I need it.
Yeah, he just picked him up, so he's hoping for it. That's going to be an interesting one right there.
And then for my sit-em, and it's kind of someone who we've talked about before, but T.J. Hawkinson, he only has 1 catch on the season. I think Hawkinson has all the potential in the world, but as we see this year, I think his name is Amon-Ra, is Cookie's go-to wide receiver, and Hawkinson is kind of playing second, or actually like fourth fiddle on that offense. So I don't even think Hawkinson is really should be on a roster at this point.
Yeah, I got Hawkinson, and I haven't started him in a couple weeks. I've been leaning more towards Alan Lazard, and I'm going to lean towards him again this week. When it comes to defenses, do you have any start-em, sit-em defenses for us, Goose? If not, I think Fallen might have a couple.
I actually had a tight end for you I want to throw out there just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ebron, like with the pass rush that I expect the Ravens to get against the Steelers, I think Ebron, I think he's going to have to get quick reads, and that's going to be your tight end or your halfback in the flat, or the tight end in the flat, so on and so forth. But I mean, Ebron just had a good game the previous week, and I expect him, as far as fantasy goes, right? So I expect him to be somebody who's going to get 5-6 plus touches this game against the Ravens passing attack.
Yeah, and he just had a really good week this past week, so that's a good one to lean on, especially with how good the Ravens pass rush is going to be with Von Miller now on the other side of the ball. So it's gonna be a tough one for the Steelers going up against that newly acclaimed super team that was just created with that trade. But when we look at the defenses, the Ravens defense stardom this week because of that trade.
Yeah, that was definitely like when I looked across, like I had to take them, and I was surprised they were still open. So it probably helps that I got the first pick. Thanks, LQ. Good job. But yeah, I had to take those guys. They'll be my stardom throughout the season for sure. A sit-em defense. I don't know if he still had him. I know Buccaneers defense was, somebody picked up. This won't be their week. Not this week. This won't be when they turn the tide.
Yeah, I don't think the Buccaneers defense is a go-to pick. They've been getting torched all season, like you mentioned earlier. So I understand that. So, do you have a stardom sitting for any defenses that you want to talk about?
I do, and this is kind of for maybe looking at week by week, but I think the Falcons offense, so far, it's kind of been stale, and I know it kind of goes in hand with the quarterback that they're using. So I like the Saints this week. I like their defense in this matchup, and then sit-em defense. I know the Steelers have a top 10 run defense, but their pass defense is kind of leading to getting points thrown all over them. So, and I think HD has the potential to put up some, but I think this is also a hit or miss kind of play here. But I would sit the Steelers defense this week.
Yeah, going up against Bacon and the Ravens.
That's
tough. That's a tough go if you got the Steelers defense, even though they've been pretty solid all year. That Ravens offense is just so dynamic between Lamar Jackson and then Marquise Brown, and then J.K. Dobbins has been a beast all season. So you've got so much to worry about with that Ravens defense. Going with the Steelers, especially coming after a tough loss where the confidence and the confidence is pretty shot, so I definitely would sit that Steelers defense this week just to be safe. But yeah, I mean, unless you guys got anything else to add, I think that's pretty much going to do it for us.
Oh yeah, great show. I feel good. I think the big talk of fantasy right now is Ravens defense, probably Ravens defense and St. Brown wide receiver. I think those are probably the two hot topics and picks.
Yep. And then, I think that Von Miller trade kind of puts an edge to the Ravens. But the big thing I want to talk about, the bye weeks this week, the Colts, the Texans, the Jets, and the Seahawks. So if you have any of those players, be mindful of that and don't start them.
Yeah, that's I'm going to give you a break, Goose. I'll let you do an extra claim because you didn't understand that you could drop, somebody else on your team for a running back. Le'Veon Bell, you picked up. He's going to be on a bye this week, so you'll need another running back to place within your lineup. So take a quick look at the top 10 and then get back to me, and we'll get you a free extra claim because you kind of had a lot of work to do between scores and stuff like that and learning the league. I'm gonna let you get that extra pick.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and I got to realize now. I'm realizing I can adjust. I didn't realize the whole roster versus starter, so I'll get all that together. But if that's everything, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this show up, man. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. Appreciate you guys for being in the chat as always. We'll definitely have more of this coming. More PML coming at your radio on my channel, man. I love it.
Yeah, this PML fantasy is something that adds a little spice to PML, which is already one of the most immersive leagues that you could get into. So, the PML fantasy, I mean, maybe one day we'll branch out to fans of the league and stuff like that. But this is pretty much a rough draft, and we'll be moving forward with this and see how exactly it's going to work. Maybe one day we'll have stats automatically uploaded and make everything so much easier and so much more fun to deal with. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. Thank you everybody for watching. If you like it, please, then please watch every week. This is usually when I say like, subscribe, all that good stuff, but it's not going on my YouTube. But like, subscribe, make sure you follow Goose on Twitch. Make sure you do all that. Watch, play your cards right. Keep up with PML. It's a blast over here, and we really enjoy putting this content out for everybody. Fallen, you got anything for the people?
No, that's it. We appreciate everybody watching, and you guys have a great night.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for hanging out. It's your boy Gooseneck Gamer. We're out.